Things to remember about the red deck wins matchup. There are two different types of red deck wins, but they are very similar in play. That's going to be burn, and that's going to be just normal red deck wins where they're just forcing damage with their creatures. Either way, they're going to be forcing damage on you. If it's the burn matchup, it's worse for you. If it's the red deck wins matchup where they use creatures, it's a little bit better for you because you can bolt their creatures to negate some of their damage. Either way, they're going to capitalize on your greedy mana base. You might be able to race them, you might not be able to race them. It depends on how much lands they draw. Also depends on what kind of lands they draw. If it's a mono red deck, they're generally going to just have a better chance at racing you than you are, because you guys won't be damaging yourselves in the same amount with the shock lands. We're going to be damaging ourselves, they're not going to, generally. Now, if it's the Bump in the Night version with like Bull Rose Charms and whatnot, that doesn't necessarily ring true. Either way, they're about a turn faster than you. You gotta remember, red deck wins wants to deal as much damage as humanly possible, as quick as possible, whereas we put a lot more value on our creatures. Now, that's saying if they shock us, it's 3 damage right away. That's almost like a hasty Wild Noctowl. We put more value on our Wild Noctowl being able to delay a turn of doing that shock damage, but doing repeatable burn. The problem with that is they are turned faster because they're just going to run their hand out and do hasty Wild Noctowls constantly. So we're about a turn slower. That being in mind, you're not the beatdown in the situation unless you can race them, unless they get mana screwed. You have to try to conserve your life total, try to deal as little damage to yourself as possible, which means cracking your basic lands. You're going to prioritize things like having Lightning Helix connect on your main deck, and after sideboard you want to gain anything that will stall the game a little bit longer for you. So that's going to be any life gain, any relevant blockers, Kitchen Finks. Kitchen Finks is way better against the creature version of red deck wins versus the straight burn version. But anything that'll stall the game a little bit longer for you will be better. Even Thalia can do a lot for you. Let's see a game in progress and see how I react to it just off the top of my head. Alright, so I lost the roll, and I'm going second. I'm going to keep this hand. I've got access to 2 lands, removal spell, as well as a Curd Ape. He's obviously on burn right now, so we're going to want to crack for basics if we can, which we can't. Which sucks, but that's fine. He would have led with the Goblin Guide if, and if he wants to burn my Noctowl, that's fine. If he led with Goblin Guide, I might have put out the Curd Ape to stop that. But he's not going to. He's going to go ahead and bolt my face. That's at least what a smart burn player would do. Yeah. This is a bad matchup for us because of our greed. It really we need to see him on 1 land for that to really matter that much. We have Path to Exile to deal with the Keldon Marauders. So we have Path to Exile to deal with the Keldon Marauders. Or we could use a Tarmogoyf, which would get would be a 2/3, and I would block it, and it would not die, which is not something we want to see. So I think we want to go ahead and do the Curd Ape option here. It definitely sucks to lose my life to my own lands, especially in this matchup, but that's the cards that were dealt to me. And aside from that, it's not the worst thing in the world. We're gonna go ahead and I mean, yeah, if he wants to trade, by all means, I'm okay with that, actually. Yeah, sure. I suppose I could have attacked, but I didn't actually expect him to trade. That seems crazy that he'd be willing to trade. I guess maybe he's got enough burn in his hand and he doesn't want me to explode on him. That could make sense to me. So I'm going to crack this for a basic regardless of what I do. I'm going to go ahead and enter combat, give him a chance to bolt my dude. And I like doing this anyways because it's good to just to put some stress on his life. Pretend like I've got the Gore Clan Rampager. I could Gore Clan here, but it'd be better to do it as a finishing touch, especially with open mana up. I just don't want to do it. Maybe he thinks that I'm going to Gore Clan anyways, and I don't want to play into that idea. I'm going to go ahead and crack for a basic, and I'm going to get a Tarmogoyf here. And this definitely sucks because it puts me like a single burn spell away from dying. Not a single, but like 3 single burn spells. But I've got enough blockers that I don't need to worry about I've got enough blockers that I don't need to worry about, like a Goblin Guide running into me. And I mean, that's just the way the cookie's gonna crumble. He's gonna burn me out, I'm gonna die. Really nothing I could do about that. The only thing I could do is put in Thalias here now, on my next turn. Put in Thalias, put in Kitchen Finks, take out the Pillar Flames, because they're pretty useless in this matchup. None of this stuff is worth anything. Our Boros Charm isn't worth anything. It lets us race, but that's not what we want to see. We want to see Lightning Helixes and things. Anything to gain life. The Thalias are good because they stop him from being able to play multiple burn spells in a row, and at least one of them will need to hit Thalia then. I'm considering putting in the Path to Exile, but I don't think it really matters because I haven't seen like a Ball Lightning or anything from him. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pull out a Knight of the Reliquary here. And I'm probably actually going to pull out another Knight of the Reliquary just to put another Path to Exile in. If he's got like some kind of 1-mana beater, I want to stop that as early as possible if it means that I've got to path it. Lightning Helix is a great find here. I'm actually going to crack this. I guess I have to crack it for a non-basic as much as I don't want to. I gotta keep it regardless. Because if he Goblin Guides, and I can't see why he wouldn't Goblin Guide, then Curdape is better. Although, I mean, dealing 1 extra damage is nice and all. I think Curdape is better here, especially because that means I can play stuff tapped if I have to. And Curdape actually stops a Goblin Guide. And by the time I play Wild Noctowl next turn, I can still block it. I mean, the Rift Bolt changes the math, but if the Rift Bolt hits my creature instead of my face, that's fine with me too. We're up in damage, guys. I hear the matchup, I haven't played the burn matchup very much, is more of like a, that's fine. Again, Ripple not hitting my face is okay with me. If he plays like 2 Goblin Guides, I'll be really sad. But I've got the Lightning Helix for that critter next turn. Or this turn, depending on what I got. Interesting. So I can leave up the Lightning Helix mana and put this into play tapped and then attack next turn. That seems like a better play. I'm giving him more chance to kill me, which I don't like at all. But, I mean, I'm going to be taking 2 damage from a Shock Land either way. Huh. So I think I do this, and I play it tapped, because then I'm going to still take 2 damage. I'm still going to attack with the Curdape, because if he had another, like, way to deal damage to me, I think he would have done it. I'm going to attack with Curdape. So this evens this out, but the difference is I still have a repeatable shock and he does not. So do I want to crack for a basic here, or do I want to put up the Kessick Wolf Run and threaten trample damage? I'm going to probably threaten trample damage. Well, it doesn't really make a difference. I guess I hold it. and I pretend to hold up mana here. Seems like the best plan. Oh, we're ahead! We're ahead! That's not gonna stay around for long. I'm gonna get like 1,000 bolted right now. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I think this is when we start doing pumps. And we can go ahead and pump basically 1 here. And if he bolts one of my creatures, that's fine with me too. I'm gonna do the Loon Line because I feel like it. I'm actually not going to play crack my Verdant Catacomb. This is a race. He's still winning. Because now he can like triple bolt me and I'll die. But we're representing more damage here just by turning dude sideways. So Goblin Guide can't attack. While I'd like to Tarmogoyf, I don't think I've got enough time to put Tarmogoyf out there, because if he's got any action whatsoever in his hands, he's going to put me down to a clock, and I need to do as much damage as I can now. It's just sort of like the way that the cookie crumbles. So I can add the trample damage to him, and then make him lose his Goblin Guide. If he shocks my dude, then that deals less damage overall. I actually think I need to go ahead and Gorklan or Kessig Wolf run this guy and get as much trample damage in there as I can. So that's 2. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. He soaks up 2, and then I add 2 to it, so 6. Yeah, cool. I can do math. Magma Jet. That's going to mean that unless he finds himself 2 bolts right off the top here, if he's got, or like, if he had a, the only way I can see him Magma Jetting is if he has 1 bolt and 2 Magma Jets. That's the best thing he can do, which this shows, by the way, me not cracking with the Verdant Catacomb was very good. Because that really puts us into burn range. He stopped looking at his library, he didn't switch any cards up, so we could be dead. But he put them both on the bottom. So that's actually good for us. Because that means he's on live. Ah, good game. The Kessig Wolf run really worked out well there. Hopefully we're going to draw ourselves a Kitchen Finks or a Thalia. It's the, right? Hopefully it's the, we're going to draw a Kitchen Finks, Thalia, or a Lightning Helix. Like I said before, those are the cards that are going to get us there. In this case, we draw the Thalia, which is exactly what we need to, and we're going to still hurt ourselves to get the mana for this, but we had to turn 2 Thalia into the Wild Noctowl swing for 3/3. Unless he puts out a Goblin Guide, in which case I'm just going to leave for that Noctowl up to block. Alright, so he does not have the Goblin Guide, otherwise he would have played the Goblin Guide right there. So I'm going to put out the Noctowl, and pass the turn. So I'm glad he's Searing Blaze that creature, rather than waiting next turn and Searing Blazing my Thalia. But we have a backup Thalia now too, which is great! Also, I'm not in a rush to crack for non-basics now. I can operate under basics and not lose life. Let's see here. I had 1 crack, so that's going to make me lose 1 life. Plus 6, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's just checking to see if my life is wrong. 6, no, okay, my life is correct. Okay, cool. But Thalia is gonna go ahead and take some damage here, because it's taxing him a ton. And it's forcing him to slow roll. I don't like the fact that he's up a huge margin over me right now. But I can live with it. I was actually okay with that Thalia dying. We're not gonna die to a random blowout of three bolts right now, though. I mean, the only thing we can hope, you know, I was hoping that he was not gonna have the extra mountains. Sometimes the burn decks just run such a low land count that they try to operate off of 2 lands, and Thalia just kills them. He really needs to kill the Thalia in order to stop the taxation effects. So that means that, like, at least 1 bolt's gonna be saved for my face. So he's down to like 3 cards. I guess he's down to less. So the question here is whether I just Gore Clan Rampager. I don't think I do. I think I dropped my Kurt Ape and my my Loon Lion. Because I could have Gore Clanned if I cracked my land, but I don't want to do that because my life total really matters. Best thing I could draw right now is a Lightning Helix. He must have the win in hand if he's going all out like this. Or he's hoping that he's going to draw the win. Yeah, and so we lose, but at least I gave him a run for his money. If he didn't have that win next turn, we would have swung in for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 damage, dropping him right down to 4. And then we would have had the win next turn. But like I said, it's just a really, really harsh matchup. Okay, guys, so that was the burn matchup. As you can see, it's not favorable. I'm not going to find one where I win, because that's like sort of a lie, and it's me trying to find matchups that are bad and pretending that they're good. The burn matchup is not a good matchup, though. We have a greedy mana base. We're looking to go down to 14 by turn 2. They love that. I mean, that makes the chance of them killing us go way up. As you guys saw with game 1, I was in the blind, didn't know that it was a burn deck, and got screwed over because of it, really, because I was greedy at my mana base, and there's nothing I could have done about it, and I died. Game 2, I managed to win. It was off the back of a Lightning Helix. The Lightning Helix really saved my ass. Without Lightning Helixing and doing almost everything appropriately, I think I won that second game basically to the damage. It's a weird matchup where you've got to race them, but you also need to conserve your life total as much as possible, because they're going to try to kill you. So I think that I did the correct plays on that game 2 and managed to pull off a win, but it was close, as you can tell. What really helped was that Lightning Helix and the Kessick Wolf Run to trample over. Kessick Wolf Run wasn't a huge deal there, but it was a big enough deal that it should be mentioned. Sideboarding in, you remember you guys sideboard in Kitchen Finks and Thalia's. Thalia's doesn't win you the game point blank like it does against control decks, but it does put a bump in the road and buy you a turn, which you need to, and if they use their gas, aka their burn on the Thalia, then it's not going to your face. And if they don't draw the lands, it at least wastes them a turn. Thalia is much better on the play than it is on the draw. In fact, it's actually a lot worse on the draw than it is on the play. It's weird how that math works out. Kitchen Finks is something you want to see. You could, if you had a lot of burn in your meta, add a bunch of different cards to make it more worth your while. I'm trying to think of, off the top of my head, the best ones that you could find are Core Firewalker. Anytime that a player casts a red spell, you may gain a life. That's pretty good in general and has protection from red for what it's relevant. What's better than that is Dragon Claw? Dragon Egg, Dragon Fodder, Dragon Mage, Dragon something or other, Dragon Wings. Dragon's Claw, here we go. I just didn't put the apostrophe. Dragon's Claw, whenever the player casts a red spell, you may gain 1 life. It's basically Core Firewalker for any mana that you want it to be. So it's like, it can really blow that out. When you're turning all their lightning bolts into shocks and their magma jets into, like, needle drops, I think is the one that does 1 damage. Or jab, whatever that thing's called. Or, I guess, like, whatever, doesn't matter. Then it's better for you. Now, these are all really narrowed, though. Like, even if you really needed to go, because you have, I got so much aggro in your thing, you need aggro hate. I've even done this when my meta was like 50% red deck wins. I put in Rest for the Weary to gain 4 life at worst, at best gain 8 life. You can have some other weird things like oh, I can't remember what it's called. It's a two converted mana cost creature that when it comes into play. Lone Missionary. Lone Missionary. Yeah, look at that. I have knowledge from standards past. Lone Missionary can block some things like Super Kitchen Finks. Except not Super Kitchen Finks. It's just better right away. But Kitchen Finks is better against like a bunch of other aggro decks, so the chances of it being in your sideboard is higher. So if it does help out the red deck wins matchup, not by a ton, but by enough. So Thalia's red deck, Kitchen Finks, and Lightning Helixes are your best tools against the red deck wins matchup. As you guys saw with game 2, I got a Thalia. I got a second Thalia, but it wasn't enough. He had the Searing Blazes, which just blew me out of the water. If he didn't have the Searing Blazes, could I have won? Maybe, because I could have kept my Thalia alive, maybe, and put more pressure on him. If he couldn't remove the Thalia, yeah, there's a very good chance that I could out-tempo him and slow him down a turn, which would be enough for me to win. And that's good. But as you guys saw, I did everything I could to conserve my life total. I cracked for basics for every single basic. I put up the Thalias. It still wasn't enough. I still lost. The matchup is bad. I'd say the matchup is probably around 30-60 them. Like, they've got the advantage there. 60% to 30. If they fumble, we have a chance of winning. Like any deck, if they fumble, we have a chance of winning. But it's not really good because of our greedy mana base. You gotta really get, like, basically 2 of those hate cards to really pull it out of the water for you. If I had a Thalia, Thalia got killed, I got to Lightning Helix and then Thalia again, or any of those, then the matchup would have been great for me. I would have had, like, a real chance of being able to win. But yeah, it's like one of those things that you gotta side out sort of like your higher end stuff like Night of the Reliquary because it just doesn't help you. Yeah, that's that. That's the matchup.